where you get really fast 3 bases. But the fact of the matter is Lowely is so precise with his units. He knows what he's doing with them. He knows how to use them properly. And that's what's the thing that's actually winning him the games time and time again. We're going to look at the units lost tab. If he's winning, you're going to see a ridiculous cost efficiency. Now that might be evenness in ZVP. If you're even in ZVP, you know you normally have an advantage in some sort of economic standings, and you will be ahead overall.
Let's jump into the game on Whirlwind, as we will remember those key points for these upcoming battles onto this GSL Crux map. In the top right from Team FXO Imba, it is, oh, sorry, it's not Imba, just Team FXO on the European side. It is Lowely, Anton Plebanovic, the 4th place finisher at WCS Europe, which is a very, very strong accomplishment, especially when you consider the talent that Lowely was able to place higher than Nerchio, placed higher than Thorzane, placed higher than some of the really strong European players that are in NASL. He's down 0-1 in his group or in his division play, but we'll find out what happens against this player in the top left who's currently mineral harassing very nicely with the probe. It's Mana from Team Mousesports.
Now, do you want to go into predictions a little bit, Frodan?
Yes. It's really funny because you went on this huge trade of like how Mana is like this and that, but you ended up picking Mana for this.
I ended up picking Mana.
Yeah, I picked Mana as well.
You know, you're the hardest on the people you love the most, Frodan.
That's true. And I think Mana, even though his winning rate is even below 50% slightly, he's kind of on the upturn, I would say. I mean, he's done pretty well against some Zergs. Like he even beat Dark, who's in the same division, and he'll match it with him eventually. And Johnny Rico, but at the same time, Mana hasn't been ever known for his PvZ. He's what he's known for is Protoss versus Terran, and Mana is very strong Protoss versus Protoss, as Rotterdam would always tell me. So I don't necessarily think this would be the strongest matchup for Mana, but still, I pick him. But we were talking about this earlier. This is probably the hardest series to call out of tonight in terms of like advantage and who has a disadvantage.
I would say so. I mean, there is no clear favorite, especially with Mana, of course, advancing into Code S, and then Lowely getting 4th place. I mean, we've said it time and time again this broadcast, but it needs to be stated. There are 2 very different accomplishments, but they have different implications. I'm really looking forward to these 2.
Mono went to WCS Europe and didn't even get anywhere near as far as Lowely did. And oh my goodness, Lowely's opening up so weird already, going speedily expand with an extracted trick on 18. It's really cool to see Lowely just stick to his unique styles, getting out a very, very, very early Zergling speed.
So what this Zergling speed does, obviously allows him to do a set of different all-ins, but on top of that, it also threatens something like a Baneling bust. Now Mana has to think, I need to be careful because I could die straight up in this beginning stage. And oh my gosh, look at this. This is a 12 pool, by the way. I tried to make that clear in the beginning. And this 12 pool, even the big map that is Whirlwind, is going to allow 4 Zerglings to get into the main base.
And a Baneling nest, Andre, is on the way for Lowely. Wow.
That's what it is.
So Lowely, I mean, he's a big strategic planner. We've interviewed him a couple times last season. I've had the pleasure of doing a profile with him. He studies his opponents as much as he can, and he does have experience against Mana. We'll see if he's able to bust this wall. Mana doesn't even really have that much gas even harvesting because his Zerglings keep harassing. This is very annoying.
Yeah, and we do see in the production tab there's a lot more Zerglings on the way. This might be a very fast game right now, Frodan. As you can see, these 4 Zerglings have done just so much damage already. 5 probes killed so far. I think 4 of those were actually from the inside line. 1 probe is going to get out here and see, wow, that's a lot of Zerglings. And now there's metabolic boost. I need to be very careful if I'm in Mana's situation. And look at that. He's going to try to plug. No, he can't plug it.
No.
Oh my gosh.
The SimCity's kind of betraying him at this point because even if he puts his Zealot in front, the Banelings can just completely crash the wall. 6 Banelings are done, Andre. And if he goes now, then Lowely has a very big opportunity before the second cannon finishes as well. The Banelings are making their way up the ramp. Is he be able to get the force field the time he does? The Banelings are have to crash onto the pylon instead, but there's not enough room for it to cover everything, and Lowely is now in the Protoss base.
Yeah, very nicely done by Lowely, but is it going to be enough? These Zerglings actually need to do a lot more damage, and there is already a Zealot out. He's going to surround the Zealot, beautifully done, and the probes will go ahead and just protect that ever so slightly. He does need to give up his main. For now, he will come back for it, but I feel like he needs a couple more shields, and yes. Oh no, there's a Baneling that was morphed over here! And this is really scary for Mana if it detonates poorly. It could be lights out for Mana right here.
Oh, the Bailey is chasing after a huge horde of probes, and it won't kill them, but again, it's, I mean, the one splash attack. Oh, my goodness.
There it is.
Yikes.
So let's go ahead and check everything out right now. 24 to 21 in favor of Lowely. We can see 11 workers killed so far. But remember, Lowely only has 2 bases, which is to be expected. He does have a lot of gas bang.
He's only had 1 queen, too, so it's not like he can push out injects really quickly.
So I'm actually going to give the advantage to Mana.
Yeah, he held it pretty well considering how underprepared he was.
Yeah, and look at all of the Chrono Boost saved up. He's going to be able to recover that probe loss very fast, just making sure all Chrono Boosts are allocated towards those Nexus.
I love the Stargate choice as a follow-up in case Lowely's going to continue to pressure. And it just gives Mana a lot of control, especially since Lowely has a lack of queens on the field like we were talking about.
Yeah. And not only that, really punishing your opponent. You invest so much gas into the early stages, well, you can't really get your lair all that fast. And the lair tech is actually what you kind of need. You don't need it absolutely, but what the lair tech actually gives you is the chance to counterattack and do something else to your opponent, whether that be Spire Tech, which isn't too common, but more so roaches. Roaches and infestors. Those are the things that it's like a ticking time bomb. Your air won't be nearly as effective. As soon as infestors are out in the field, as soon as roaches are out in the field, they can actually do counterattacks similar to what we see in ZVZ when an opponent goes mutus.
And we'll see what Lowely has up his sleeve, man. There's no telling what he might end up doing. If he might even go for something crazy to follow up. Some people, I know like Suho Shin, for example, loves following up bailing attacks with bailing drops to keep up in the mid game. But with Stargate coming onto the field, that's going to become less and less likely. Although Lowely doesn't have an idea of it just yet. He's trying to poke up the ramp, but he doesn't see anything. And this is great Stargate placement from Mana.
Yeah, he should know a little bit. I would actually love to have an overload right over here just to check and keep an eye on not only warp gate timings, but if the gateways are working, if the +1 is being upgraded, because that'll give him all indications of something happening. And really, your opponent can't push out too much because there are Zerglings and Bailings somewhere out in the field. First Void Ray will go ahead and reveal itself, killing an Overlord, and instantly we have Spore Crawlers being placed all over the place, along with that Infestation Pit.
And Lowely will lose a couple of Overlords, but the big thing to note is that he's placing a Spore Crawler close to the ramp as well, which I do like. It helps him zone a little bit better, not necessarily just placing him by the minerals. And 2 queens are out here, but there are 2 Phoenixes, a very nice pickup for Mana. And losing these queens actually does hurt a lot, considering Lowely is trying to go for 3 hatches, and those 2 queens are the only queens really there for injects and anti-air.
Unfortunately, I think he could have gone away with just Graviton beaming one of them, taking the damage with the other, and just killing that, and of course just raising up a little bit later. But still very well done. You can see Lowely is supply capped right now, but he's getting that pathogen glands. Pathogen glands obviously so helpful in this series, especially the fact that Stargate play, even though it is good and it is mobile, it takes a while to actually amass that, and on top of that, it's a big map, so your units actually take a long time to traverse the fields. So you could traverse and get your Phoenix all in one place, and all of a sudden everything just gets absolutely fungled. It's the problem a lot of PvPs have. It's like, I get my 4 Phoenixes over, but because it's such a big map, I'm committing so much time to killing, a couple drones here and there. Yeah,
you can see Mana still focusing on harassing a little bit, poking at this hatchery, trying to see if he can get in a good position to avoid the Spore Crawler, and does lift off the Queen. The Spore Crawler is attacking it, but he's able to disable it almost immediately. And Mana, some pretty decent harass, but the big thing is he's keeping units alive. He scouted his opponent's tech, sees the Infestation Pit, and double Evo Chambers. So the Colossus choice from this point on is very solid.
Oh yeah, Colossus will be so powerful. Now, Frodan, you think he's going to do a 2-base timing? I mean, he is all the way up to 6 gateways at this point. Is this going to be a 2-base progression, or is he just going to take his 3rd base? I mean, I guess data will show that Mana will probably take an expansion, but how do you think he's going to play it out this game?
I feel like taking a 3rd expansion makes yourself very vulnerable to the Infestor trying to cancel the 3rd. Just because remember back in the day on like maps like Metalopolis, where if Protoss tried to go for like the 3rd after setting up tech, Zerg would try to just completely deny that 3rd nonstop. As soon as they drop Infested Terrans and surround it and kind of dive it, they burrow Zergling, just stall while they get out more bases, more tech, more units. And it just kind of laborious, and it also kind of came down to spawn positions. But I think in this area, as long as Mana can can keep a good amount of pressure with the Stargate, which he's doing right now. So he killed an Infestor.
Wow.
Like, stuff like that is what's really able to buy you enough time for your third base.
Definitely worth it. And he killed a couple creep tumors, but Lowely doing it very nicely. Gonna go ahead and plant creep tumors on the receding creep. So as you mentioned, I mean, Mana is taking his third base, but Lowely is doing exactly what you said, really trying to put the pressure on before he can actually establish some sort of Sim City. You know, that Colossus is actually very scary, and I feel like that will force Lowely to play it back a little bit. If that Colossus wasn't up and it was the more conventional Immortal type of play, I think the Infested Terrans would have been just drastically better. Obviously, the Fungals, the Infested Terrans, and also just the Infestor count would have been able to really do some serious damage. But I think just seeing that Colossus, it's the nice counter to Zergling Infestor in this stage. And I think that's why Mana actually chose to go Colossus. Think, we normally see Mass Immortals and Sentries in this beginning stage. But Mana's like, no, my opponent is going to go Roaches. That isn't Lowly like. He likes to go that tech route. He likes to go Infestors. That way he can use that over into Hive Tech. So I'm going to go Colossus immediately, and it pays dividends here in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, even if he did go Roaches, a lot of early investment went to the Zerglings. They went for the speed. They went to the Baneling Nest. They went to the actual Banelings. And so switching to Roach Tech would be a little bit more expensive, and his production wouldn't be as high. So I think Mana makes a great tech decision there. Now just playing this very slowly, playing a slow game, getting up +2, getting up Blink as well. Lowly's adding on his Spire finally, while taking a 4th base, which is a great move.
Oh no, Frodan. Lowly meant to make a Hive.
And?
He has 2 layers instead. So that's why it's like his Spire was timed with his Hive. But instead, it was the lair.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh my gosh.
Double layers.
And you can tell because the Spire is just about 20 seconds away from finishing when the lair finished. Yeah. And it's because the lair takes 80 seconds, Hive takes 100 seconds, Spire takes 100 seconds, so normally you time both of them at the same time.
Look how much gas Lowly saved up too. And he used it all. He has to use it all on the Corruptors, but he doesn't really have anything available. I do like the prioritization of Carapace on Flyers. People are seeing more and more prevalence of that. If you saw Hune versus Puma yesterday, that's a big thing when Vikings have +1 and Brutals have +3. You'd be surprised how little damage Mad Vikings can do, especially with Fungals. So Lowly making the right steps other than this huge tech misstep, but I mean, we've all been there, Andre. 2 Infestation Pits, quad Evo Chambers.
It's the worst feeling in the world, Frodan. Hands down. And he does have a bit more Zerglings than he wants to have. I mean, this is a lot, and even the Banelings are a little excessive. I think right now, if I'm in this position, the best option to go is actually drop and try to really prevent my opponent from pushing out until they can really secure their economy. At this point, Mana, I mean, he looks unstoppable just because of that Hive Tech being so delayed. I think he'll be pushing out right now. This is actually, he should have pushed out at 17 minutes. 17 to 18 minutes is the absolute standard, although this is a weird game because of the early game stages. But he should be pushing out pretty soon here, else he's giving the Zerg way too much time to really get that Hive Tech up.
You know, it's kind of interesting if Mana kills the Hive for some reason, if he does like a mass War Prison play, then Lowly just makes another Hive.
It's like, oh, I got my lair
it's like,
ready.
well, no problem, man. It was all calculated. Calculated. I used to do that all the time. Like, whenever something would seem like a mistake in a video game and like it'll end up working out, I'd always say calculated. And people get so annoyed, like, you made a mistake. I'm like, no, calculated.
Everybody in Super Smash Brothers hated you, didn't they?
Yes. It's like, yes, I meant to do that. Calculated.
It's like 6 Smash, bro. You just did like a Ganondorf B
you like
neutral.
You like button mash. You just hit every single button possible and you somehow win. And they're like, what? You didn't even know what you're doing. And you're like, nope. Calculated.
I used to do that same thing, except said, ¿Cómo estás? And my roommate, sophomore year, hated me because of it. He's like, stop saying ¿Cómo estás?
How am I doing? You know how I'm doing. Man. Mana is playing this super slow.
Wow.
Going for a 4th base, not even going for some kind of Hive timing, which, to be frank, he's had a very giant window of opportunity for Hive timing. Lowly only about halfway done with its Greater Spire, which should have been done a couple minutes ago by now, but you can see that he's getting +3 and Adrenal Glands really sticking onto... actually, he's going for melee upgrades, but normally from this position, Zergs go for Ultras because is synergized with their upgrades, and then you crash the force fields and then use banelings to attack. But he's instead getting Greater Spire, so this is a very interesting choice here from Lowely.
Yeah, personally, in my games, I always prefer the Greater Spire. I just feel like it has some hidden capabilities that's capable of killing anything if you don't have a mothership.
Very hidden, in my opinion. A hidden ability to kill everything.
Let me tell you, Rotterdam would attest to that. He's like, oh yes, they're very hidden.
Ooh,
nobody really sees the potential of Broodlords.
Man, knowledge bomb, that's one sip. 6 Broodlords on the way, 7 Broodlords for Lowely, but will he have enough time? As Mana is crashing the front of the 3rd base at this point. Oh, the Storm on the Banelings to make sure they can't do much damage. And the Storm on the Zerglings from behind, Storm on the front, Storms everywhere. And at this point, Mana does have a huge point of open window just to attack the Broodlords. Lowely doesn't really have any form of static defense either. And all reinforcements will almost be cut off. 148 Zerglings are on the way. No, 150 Zerglings. Wow.
Yeah, that's going to help out and clean everything up. But, you know, a lot of times this is exactly what you do to actually empower some sort of drop. We see it all the time in TVP, and that's exactly what's happening. Spawning Pool is going out in the top right-hand corner. As you can see, there is a Warp Prism over here on the left side of the base. Dark Templars would have been a lot more awesome.
The Spawning Pool! Oh, doesn't manage to get it.
It's like, no, I only got 150 Zerglings!
Zerglings like, I didn't get to swim yet, no fair! The mana does end up canceling at this point, which is a good choice. Keep that Warp Prism alive is just annoying. Getting 2 Warp Prisms out is very annoying as well.
Beautifully done by Lowely, though, and really utilizing those Zerglings to its optimal capabilities, rather. Lowely is pretty nicely ahead right now, taking his 5th base. Even though Mana is at 4 bases as well, really because of the beginning stages, you can see the gateway count isn't really that high. Yes, it's probably somewhere in the 11, 12 region, but that's not really high for 4 bases, or at least 3 bases with 4 mining gases on each of them. So that's a big problem. He doesn't have a lot of reinforcement power. That's why we saw it kind of trickle off afterwards. Because of that, he'll have to play really accurate. He can't be throwing away stuff too fast because he's really imposing on his main army.
Are you talking about Lowely or Mana?
Mana.
Okay, right. Yeah, because you need the Mothership, you need the Archons, you need some Templars for feedbacks and Storm zoning. And all those things are very, very heavy on gas. You can see Mana's really racking it up. Might have to start thinking about a 5th expansion soon, considering his main is getting pretty low on gas count. From here, you can see that Lowely is going just for, again, for the Infestor Broodlord, but getting that +2/+2. And when Air gets that many upgrades, it's going to be that much harder, especially with the Spine Crawler wall that he's starting to formulate. It's getting really tough for Mana to engage, and of course, Lowely's just continue to expand, continue to spread more of his presence on the map.
I think this is definitely a map where we will actually, as I think the metagame will evolve, we're actually going to see more recalls than Vortex. I think Vortex is going to be a little bit more risky, just because if let's say I just take this army. The question
all or nothing, man, really.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, if this attack works, I win the game. If it doesn't, well, I'm dead. And then you find out the probability. What is the probability of me actually having this work? And think about how slow the Mothership is, how you have to keep up with the speed of the rest of your units. You're going to be a very slow-moving blob. And that's a problem, especially in ZVP. When you get that creep extended, that's so difficult to actually manage. So rather, let's take your army, go to the bottom right-hand corner, put a Warp Prism over here, and then try to attack. Kill a base. If you can kill a base, awesome. Recall out. And then all of a sudden, the units are all the way down at the bottom, and you can have a major Warp Prism harassment going up at the top right-hand corner. It's a really nice way to actually, I think, play out the map.
Recall increases your mobility because you can be essentially at 2 places at once.
That's
if they're trying to base trade, just kill what you can, and then recall, and then crush their army. And, you know, recall plus gives you enough energy to Vortex also in combination. So
yeah,
it'd be really, how sick would it be if you like Vortex and recalled on top of the Vortex? And like as soon as they get recall, everything pops out, so it's as if you Vortex anyway. It'd be really cool.
That would be actually the coolest thing.
I do agree with you, Andre. Vortex does seem very all or nothing, like O-Town once said.
'Cause I want it all.
Nothing at all.
Well, we're gonna
Storms
see
on the Banelings, and the Banelings are crashing
nice
directly into the
blink,
Archons.
by the way.
Yeah, very, very nice. putting the Archons first, but he still doesn't really have a direct answer to the Brewers unless he can get underneath. But the Banelings are trying to crash directly onto the front of the army. And Monolith is pretty small, but Lowely sacrificed a ton of his supply there because most of it were Zerglings.
Yeah. There's that War Prism harass, as we saw yet again in the top right-hand corner. Think about how effective it would be to keep all of this or keep more Archons and all those Colossus still. Just get all those units out of position and then just ravage this base. Kill the Hive, kill the other hatchery, kill the Baneling nest, and then you do the same thing with this area right after that. That would have been so much cooler. Instead, Mana takes some serious losses. I think we're going to see all of this type of special strategies actually in Heart of the Swarm when recall is a lot more accessible.
Yeah, mid-game recall will be a lot more prevalent.
Yeah. But for now, it is difficult. It is difficult to actually...
Do you think recall is really good, even for early game? Because I know even in Brood War, recall was an Arbiter tech, and that takes a long time to get to, right? You have to get the Fleet Beacon to get the Arbiter, right?
Recall, we had a... excuse me, Liquid Noni had this saying, okay, for recall. And it was always... Protoss is a 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A race.
Right.
LOL. Now it's a 1A. It used to be recall is your 1A. It would just be R and then left click.
Right.
That's the power of it. You can do so much, get your unit in great position, and have them do so much damage with very, very little.
Yeah, there'd be so many offensive recalls. I remember watching in Brood War a couple games here and there. People would just be like, well, I'm not using this defensively. I'm going to go to your base and transport all my units and do it all at once.
You actually never saw defensive recalls. It's very, very rare that you ever saw defensive recalls in StarCraft 1.
Well, that's really, really cool to see if that's going to evolve. But for now, until then, Mana's just using this mothership a little bit more defensively, trying to send out his units little by little. And I guess he is going to use it for a recall in this case. Start going base hunting. Whirlwind is a big map. So I think it's really wise to start cutting down expansions. It's also getting to that stage of the game where I think Mana realizes if I just cut down on my opponent's gas accounts and really start limiting his expansions, I can just focus, and especially since Broodlords lose so much mobility, he's in a good spot. Now, this is a case where he can just feedback everything, storm everything, and recall if he gets fungled. But we'll see how things end up playing out. A couple more storms on the Corruptors. They're getting very weak. Wow.
Oh, he takes out, and are we going to see a recall right now?
Oh, he better, because there's Banelings loaded into the Overlord. Oh, and the recall, except for one High Templar.
Oh, poor guy. I don't know where all of his units went to. Oh, right over here. Yeah. Very nicely done, Mana. And look at that, he even retains the other units. You can see kills a 4. That means he retained some High Templars that were sure to die. Now he can save that gas for just energy. That's absolutely fantastic. Lowely is now going to make his first offensive. Now, this is really important because Lowely is actually a lot less effective off of creep. Not only the Broodlords have to trek a long, long ways, but yeah, the Infestors are slower. The Infested Terrans are actually the same speed. But, you know, your Zerglings are a lot less effective.
Terrans are same speed on and off creep?
I do believe so.
Wow,
I might be wrong, actually.
I didn't know that.
That's what they look like.
It's so slow anyway.
They're always just so
Did you know an
slow.
Overlord is the same speed on or off creep?
No, I didn't.
Same
but did you know an Overlord is slower when it's spreading creep than when it's not?
Really? No, I actually didn't know that.
Of course. It's stationary.
Oh, a bunch of chains that prevent the Stalkers from being able to blink forward a Vortex on some of the units.
What are you doing with your Banelings?
Drop the Banelings into the Vortex. How boss would that be? No, he's just dropping direct. Oh, I guess that works. Just killing off a huge pack of Stalkers. But a lot of units were caught in that. Were the Infestors as well. They're now arriving to the battle. Reinforcements have arrived. A little bit too late. GG is called. And Mana takes game number 1 with great patience and kind of a Hasuab style.
Very whittling down style, almost Spoon Terran-ish. Of course, I'm referring to Thorzane, but he got those little minor advantages, of course, with the harassment on the top right-hand corner, but not only that, he was killing hatcheries in the bottom. He was actually being very cost-efficient. That's the tough thing about Whirlwind. How do you actually attack as a Zerg? I think a lot of people are actually choosing to rush their Hive tech as fast as possible so they can actually start attacking, but that wasn't the case this game when you make 2 layers instead of a Hive.
That's right. In this case, 2 is not better than 1. Thank you so much to Stamps.com. Stamps.com is running an awesome benefit. Go to nasl.tv/p/stamps where you guys can save on postage because email is so 5 years ago. We'll be back with game number 2 between Lowely versus Mana. Don't go anywhere, guys. Day number 3 of week number 2 is just kicking off.